I'm James Heaney, and this is Brief News Brief. Our first story directly relates to Amy Schumer, the famous comedian. The Democratic Party's in a wildfire after the uncontrolled burn of the 2016 presidential election. And it's time to change leadership, because the previous leadership was out of touch and did not see this disaster coming for their party. So, Senate Minority Leader Harry Reid is retiring. He can't take these shenanigans anymore, so he's passing the torch to direct blood relative of Amy Schumer, Chuck Schumer. And Chuck Schumer is now in a position where he's going to start delegating leadership roles to people. And one of the things he's also proving he can do as the new minority leader is create jobs. Because while he didn't have a leadership role for Bernie Sanders, that didn't stop him from making a new job. Bernie Sanders' new job is going to be the chairman of community outreach. And that means that he's going to be connecting with people on a grassroots level. He's going to be connecting to voters, making sure they know what the Democratic Party stands for, and hopefully has them voting for the Democratic Party in future elections. Now, he's already started doing his job. If you look at Facebook, yesterday, on November 16th, he had 33,000 people watching him speak live. And this is not even an election going on. These are just people that are on the edge of their seat listening to what Bernie has to say because they trust him. He's one of the few voices in the Democratic Party that people still trust, which makes me think to myself, the whole election cycle, people assumed Trump was going to lose. Whether or not he thought he was going to lose, I don't know. But there was talks of him creating his own TV station, Trump TV. And that platform's not going to happen because he'll be surprised to see the presidential job is pretty tough. But that makes me wonder, maybe this whole thing would be perfect for Sanders to curate the kind of information that he wants to come out of the Democratic Party. Because now, as one of the chairmen, and Elizabeth Warren, who hasn't had a job announced yet, but she has been announced as somebody that will be a leadership role, they're going to be at the big kids' table at these in Senate meetings on important issues. So if they can talk to those people and make sure that there's an open communication between the sometimes out-of-touch senators and the people living in America, that's going to make things a lot different. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Everybody thought email scandal was a story that was lost to the past, but it's back with a fresh new face, Mike Pence. Mike Pence is fighting to keep his emails private and out of the public eye. He sued President Barack Obama for using executive authority in 2014 to enact the Dreamers Act, which passed the Senate but was never voted on in the House. They refused to even bring it up to vote. So he passed it with executive authority. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't care to discuss because I don't know enough. Let's just say that it did happen. Now, Mike Pence decided to make a frivolous lawsuit in order to attack that and try to stop Barack Obama from using executive authority. I say frivolous because that's what was decided. It's already been called a frivolous lawsuit in the courts. Now they're just wondering whether or not it was illegal that he's using taxpayer money to fund this frivolous lawsuit. And they're looking into his emails. They specifically want to get one email that just has one tiny package, and he says, no, you cannot see what's in the box. So we don't know what it is. It could be anything that's in there. I'm not going to, well, I guess the only assumption, I won't call it an assumption. I'll just say maybe it's a birth certificate. Maybe it's Donald J. Trump's birth certificate, because we've known for a while that he's from Loompa Land, but we have no paper proof. Is it in the attachment? We'll find out. Maybe. There's a hearing next week, and it's going to decide whether or not he has to let these out. He's saying that he was trying to create a law. First off, he's running a transition team. It's very difficult right now, but he refuses to leave his job as governor in Indiana. And he's trying to create a new law where he would be, nobody can look at his emails until the year, some point far in the future, I think it's like 2025, or when he dies, whichever comes second. So Mike Pence is using the old, over my dead body argument. It's time to talk about the here, the now, and the future. Investigators from the United States Department of Labor have concluded that 83% of garment factories downtown Los Angeles are violating labor laws. They're paying people as little as $4 an hour for their work. On average, it's $7 an hour, which is $3 an hour less than California's minimum wage. But this isn't new. They got fined over $250,000 in 2012 for violations. But it don't matter, because they're supplying big stores like TJ Maxx, Forever 21, and Ross Dress for Less, and they're like, well, it costs us less money and affords us more profits if we just violate the laws. So why don't we make ourselves above the law? Well, that's when us vigilantes have to gather hands and take the law into our own hands and shop at thrift stores. Because we don't need to give our money to them. We can say something by shopping at a thrift store where I can take my $20 and get 4 pairs of pants, and that money, instead of going to the fat cats, ends up 83%, for example, from Goodwill goes back into donations. And Salvation Army gives people places for addiction help, homeless help. It's great. You put your money towards there, you get more and give back to the community. And then truly, $20 in my pocket, and that is freaking awesome. It's poll tally time. It's a 3-way tie between getting your news from newspapers, television, or social media. But it's clear that people think if we do exploration of space, we should focus on terraforming. And finally, there just isn't enough names put into the suggestion of what should we call Kim Jong-un. I guess people don't want to be heard. Perhaps that's the real news of the poll tally tonight, is people aren't voting. If you don't express your freedom of speech and go out there and vote, you might lose your right to vote. So today, which very well could be the final polls that you can cast your vote in, go to @BriefNewsBrief and be part of this democracy. All right? Here's tonight's polls. Would you tune in to a Bernie Sanders TV station? Would you watch what's going on that show, that channel? And coffee, tea, or energy drink? I know which one I'd choose. And finally, are people more like cats or more like dogs?